こんにちは、ハリケーンフットボールです。今回の教材は、リーズユナイテッドの田中碧に関する動画です。リーズユナイテッドは、プレミアリーグ第20節で、マンチェスターユナイテッドと対戦し、1対1の引き分けに終わりました。アンパドゥの出場停止により、田中碧が先発する可能性も高そうでしたが、蓋を開けてみれば、アンパドゥのところには、グレーブが入り、田中碧、またしても、ベンチスタートでした。1対1で迎えた80分に、ウィリーニョントと一緒に途中出場した田中碧は、ロングパスやサイドチェンジなど、大きな展開も何度も狙い、明らかに攻撃を活性化していました。さらに守備面でも、明らかに気合の入ったディフェンスと、いつものように、空回りするような場面もほとんどなく、ただただ強いデュエルでボールを奪う場面も数回ありました。リーズファンのコーナーは、田中碧について、ベンチスタートだったことは理解できるが、やはりもう少し早く出すべきだったし、田中碧が入ったことで、試合が変わったことも強く感じているようです。実際にどのように話しているのかチェックしてみましょう。
Well, to talk about the game over, I mean, I guess the most important thing is that I'm disappointed with the 1-1, and that probably is because of the raising of expectations with Leeds United at this moment in time. That's what, 7 unbeaten now, which is good. You know, you feel Man United go to a lot of places. They are 5th in the division. They go to a lot of places and they will win. They always turn up against us. That's not the same Man United team who played against Wolves. So whatever they say about, they don't mean anything to us, this, that, and the other, they always turn up against us, always. And that was a level raiser in terms of a performance from what they played up against Wolves. So yeah, I thought Leeds were good. I thought at the end there was maybe going to be one team that was going to win it. They looked tired, which is a big credit to us because we played 2 days later, which is a positive. I thought that from the beginning of the game, Yaka was brilliant. I've seen a lot of stuff online saying Sesko this and Sesko that. In terms of physically, I thought that was probably Yaka's biggest bit of competition because, obviously international teammates, but I thought Sesko from a physical capacity did quite well. Strout did okay today, I thought him and Bornau under a bit of pressure playing out from the back was maybe slightly weak than I'd have wanted. But, I think the big thing today, lads and lasses, was probably that right-hand side. We massively missed Bogle, massively. And, we can talk about Man United side missing Bruno Fernandes and Mason Mount, etc. A Leeds United side missing Joe Rodon, a Leeds United side missing Jayden Bogle, Leeds United side missing, obviously, Ethan Ampadu is massive. It's big surgery on this Leeds side. So to say we came away with a point is good. We'll get into it. But slap a like on the video, everybody, and welcome to one, welcome to all. But that first half, I thought it was very nip and tuck. I thought we gave them a little bit too much respect, I'll be honest. I thought for portions of the game, they were good in the midfield in terms of the incisive ball-playing ability. I thought with Casemiro and Cunha in particular and Agate, I thought actually playing it round the corner and playing it in little triangles, they were pretty decent at that. I thought Gruev struggled today, and this is naturally my constant problem with Eli Gruev. I understand why he was in there. I understand why he's selected by Daniel Farke because he's probably the closest thing to an Ampadu replacement you're going to get, but he's nowhere near Ampadu in terms of level. Ampadu's a deep line playmaker. Ampadu can, play on both sides. He's brilliant in terms of decision making. Allegro is just very limited. And, I got sort of cussed out a little bit on the Liverpool review because people were saying, look, Connor, you didn't realise how well Allegro did. The only thing that I was looking at really with Allegro was him on the ball. It was, that's kind of where I'm looking at with my centre midfielders. Protecting, I think the back line is a given. You've got to do that as a defensive midfielder. You've got to screen. You've got to know what's going on around you. You've got to be able to protect the lines in between the lines. So from Biol to James Justin today, for instance, and then from Seb Bornau to Goodmanson as a central midfielder, you've got to be able to protect those lines. I don't think we did that as well today. I think the midfield struggled with that. You've got to be able to block that off. I thought we did that in a low block really well against Liverpool. I thought we did it in phases really well as well against Palace and Chelsea. But the midfield protection wasn't there as much, I didn't feel today. I thought it took Stack a while to get into the game, but it's not to dig out certain personnel, but the progression from the midfield just wasn't there. And I thought if you'd have had at least one in there, maybe Ampadu and Tanaka, Leeds would have been... You could tell even when Tanaka came on towards the back end of the game, when he was dropping deep and picking up the ball, he immediately started making things happen. Nonto came on the pitch and his body is what Nonto's very confident at doing is checking back in on his right-hand side and playing round the corner with his left foot. Anton Stack is in acres of space Now, I don't think we had any sort of technical level to be able to play the ball into Anton Stack there, because you have to angle your body in a certain way for it to come off your left foot and put it into Anton Stack at that point in the game, in around the 83rd minute, where Leeds had a 4-on-4 chance. We didn't have that space in the game, really. But Nonso is able to unlock that because technically he's very good at drawing the opposition player out and playing it round them. That is the technical level you get. You saw Tanaka as soon as he came on, he was trying to find the channel ball. He was trying to find the ball into Dominic Calvert-Lewin. We really missed that. And I think Farke got that wrong today. I think Farke got that wrong in terms of bringing on Tanaka and Nonso a lot earlier. I understood how the game moved. I understand the fact that he wanted to start Groven Aronson, and I probably agreed with him. In fact, I'd said that on my preview. I would probably play Groven Aronson in there because I was looking at Cunha, I was looking at Dorgu, it was like a box midfield. I was looking at Casemiro and Agate, and I was thinking there need to be Harriers in there. There need to be Harriers. They need to get in and about Cunha, be all over him, win the ball, be ugly in there. And Tanaka maybe doesn't have that sort of dynamism in a strange sort of way that Brendan Aronson does have. You know, a lot of the time he doesn't really know what he's doing, but he's very, very decent in the press in that midfield. But once again, I thought Aronson had a really decent game in there. You know, in that midfield, we hugely lacked Jayden Bogle. So what would happen a lot of the time is because James Justin wouldn't be making that run on the right-hand side, which Bogle makes, Leeds were looking out wide to play the ball, but Justin wasn't there. He was kind of in a back four at points. So you get Goodmanson wide left on the touchline, but James Justin, a lot of the time, he didn't want to give up that full-back position from that defensive perspective, probably because he thought he was maybe going to be turned over, but Bogle takes that risk. We're just talking about body distribution and angles. You'll see it a lot of times. Bogle, once again, will do what Nonso did. He'll chop inside on his right foot and be able to play the ball centrally with his left foot, change his body angles. So basically that it turns their players off kilter, really. And it was just quite predictable, I thought, from James Justin today in terms of what he was doing. If he was pressed facing goal, he'd go back to goal. He wouldn't ever try to take on his man when he was under a press. He wouldn't ever try to just pass it round the side. And I thought we massively missed Jayden Bogle. So what that meant in the 3-5-2 was that we didn't have any width. And it was so abundantly clear. So that's why Brendan Aronson did really well, because everything was going centrally. So when it's central and they've got a box midfield in there, you've got to have someone who's going to take the ball and try to get Daniel Farke. Is maybe the thought that when you bring Nonso on and when you bring Tanaka on, maybe Leeds become, and this is a rhetoric and narrative from Leeds fans as well, Leeds become a little bit defensively more lax. I don't agree with that. I really don't agree with that. Willie Gnonto's defensive numbers, guys, are really good per 90 for a winger. This whole nonsense that he doesn't defend. Yeah, don't get me wrong, there's times that he's been caught out, of course, like every winger at Leeds United. Not every winger is diligent. There were times Solomon was caught out, Ramazani was caught out, James has been caught out, Aronson's been caught out. But I think with Nonso, it's constantly highlighted a little bit more, and people have this conversation that, oh, he's not a good defensive winger. But that's not what wingers are anyway. You want your wingers to be mavericks. You want them to cause problems in tight pockets and win free kicks and be able to play the ball around the corner and go down the byline and hit the flank. And I just felt that we missed Willie Gnonto today. We said at halftime on the watch long that I'd have gone to a 4-3-3. I think it was baying out for it. And I didn't think from a Man United perspective, they were putting that much pressure on our midfield from a deep line perspective. You know, Cunha wasn't darting towards Gruev or darting towards Anton Stack from a deep line perspective. They were able to get the ball and think about what they were going to do a little bit. And there's one player who you want on that when it comes to a technical capacity, and that is our Tanaka. So I thought we really missed Jayden Bogle on that right-hand side. Tanaka should have been brought on earlier. Nonto should have been brought on earlier. And obviously Mecha came on, didn't he, like 5 to 10 minutes before. But it just made Leeds into that 3-5-2 aspect again, with still James Justin on that right-hand side. Goodmanson pushing up high, but Leeds effectively still building up in a back four. You know, so we weren't risking it on that right-hand side and left-hand side, giving Man United something to think about, spreading their midfield and spreading the defence, therefore being able to find holes centrally. We had one player back in a compact sort of block, and then you had Goodmanson on that left-hand side. So I just thought it was quite predictable, and I think it was quite easy for Man United to be able to deal with that until we made that change when Tanaka came on and Nonso came on, where the game looked, and towards the back end of the game, there was one team that was going to win it, you know, and Leeds started finding pockets just in between their defensive midfield and out wide. There seemed to be sort of overloads and stuff like that. And that was because Willie Gnonto's dragging players out of their positions because they know they have to get out to him. Same with Al Tanaka. So we just didn't have that throughout the game. Leeds were quite predictable because we were very, very central focused. And if Bogle is out, we're hearing it's a thigh injury. But if Bogle is out for the game against Newcastle on Wednesday, hopefully he's not. We've kind of got to figure out a way of being a little bit more sort of have a little bit of a more aggressive penetration from the central space, because I don't know if Justin's going to give you any width. So I think maybe against Newcastle, you might have to go to a 4-3-3. I don't think we will, but I think it's just very central. It felt very Jesse Marsh in that game for me. So, yeah, and Josh has just said this as well. Nonso and Tanaka early will win. That's where I'm at, Josh. And it's hindsight's 22, isn't it, mate? And we could all turn around and say, oh, well, you know, and the excuse back to that will be, well, defensively, they're not great. It's nonsense. It's nonsense. You saw as soon as Tanaka came on, he won about 2 or 3 duels in that midfield, you know, of which I thought Grueb struggled with throughout the game to get to grasps of Agate and Casemiro in particular. But yeah, and I thought Nonso came on and did really well. But I mean, I'll take the point. It sounds like I'm being like ultra negative here. I just think when you go 1-0 up, it's not ultra negative at all anyway. It's the fact that, you know, expectations have risen a bit, but you go 1-0 up and then to concede 3 minutes later, I'm just sick of not seeing a win against Man United. I just want to see us beat Man United in the Premier League. They've just got such a hoodoo over us, and they always have done. They've always been our bogey team. As I say, 1 win in 20 against them. So it's just one of them where I'm fine with it. It's 8 points. And it just felt naturally when you go 1-0 up against your arch rivals and then you concede within 2 or 3 minutes, it's just painful. It is painful. And it was a brilliant finish by Brendan Harrison. Ball was played in behind heaven. He didn't see Brendan Harrison, or Brendan Harrison definitely caught up on him. Left foot. Excellent finishing. The noise, Ellen Road was just, oh my God, it was crazy. It was bouncing. And I think it had been a different vibe. If they'd have scored, then we'd have equalized. I think the vibe, even on here, would have been a lot more sort of like, oh, brilliant, fantastic, you know. But it's the fact that, you know, we scored, then they scored 2 minutes later. And it was poor from Leeds. But I thought when, you know, it was maybe the taking care of the ball in the midfield as well, where I thought maybe Farke should have made the changes a little bit earlier. Leeds were just not able to take care of the ball in the central part of the pitch. And it's just that technical level as well. We know Brendan Harrison was one of the better players for Leeds United today, in my opinion, anyway. But from a technical level, like Gruev and Aronson are just not on the same level as Ampadu and Tanaka, you know, in that midfield. So it's one of them, really. It's the good thing is, lads and lasses, you know, we've gone into that with 2 games less rest. And if you were to look at that towards the end, you put another 5 minutes on that, I think Leeds win it. You know, Peru just over the bar. We had a couple of chances, didn't we, towards that back end, but they still carried that threat. Obviously, couldn't you hit the post, didn't they? But yeah, it was a game of fine margins. I was just yeah, it just hurt. It hurt a lot when they went through and scored, obviously. But let's talk anyway about.
次は解説です。今回はいつも以上に話している内容が感情的で、口語的で、文法的にも崩れていたり、話が継ぎはぎになったりして、翻訳するのもかなり大変でした。皆さんも難しく感じたでしょうか。ボキャブラリーも難しいものがいくつかありましたので、本日の解説をチェックしてみましょ
う。But that first half, I thought it was very nip and tuck.
ニパンタックは差がほとんどない接戦を表すイディオムです。スポーツでは、どちらが勝つかわからない試合展開の時によく使われます。サッカー解説では、五分五分、拮抗した展開という意味になります。一方的な試合では使われません。前半や終盤など、特定の時間帯を評価する時にも使えます。会話ではとても自然ですが、試験英語ではあまり出ません。ネイティブ解説を理解するために覚えておくと便利な表現です。
But that first half, I thought it was very nip and tuck. But that first half, I thought it was very nip and tuck. And, you know, I got sort of cussed out a little bit on the Liverpool review.
カッサウトは、相手を感情的に激しく叱ったり、強い言葉で罵倒したりすることを表す口語表現です。単なる注意や批判よりも、かなり強いニュアンスがあります。主にアメリカ英語で使われ、日常会話や SNS で見られます。フォーマルな場面や試験英語ではほとんど使われません。スポーツでは、監督やファンが怒鳴る場面を表すときに使われます。意味を弱めて訳すと誤解が出るため注意が必要な表現です。
And, you know, I got sort of cussed out a little bit on the Liverpool review. And, you know, I got sort of cussed out a little bit on the Liverpool review. So basically that it turns their players off kilter, really.
オフキルタは、物事が本来のバランスから外れている状態を表す表現です。スポーツでは、相手の体勢や判断を崩したときによく使われます。 サッカー解説では、守備の立ち位置や対応がずれた場面で登場します。単にミスをしたというより、流れや感覚が狂ったニュアンスがあります。日常会話でも何かおかしいという意味で使えます。試験英語よりもネイティブの会話や解説で覚える表現です。イメージで理解すると使いやすくなります。
So basically that it turns their players off kilter, really. So basically that it turns their players off kilter, really. I think it was baying out for it.
baying out for は、状況や空気が、それをやるべきだと強く求めていることを表す表現です。サッカーでは、交代や戦術変更が必要な時によく使われます。誰か一人の意見ではなく、試合全体の流れから自然に導かれる必要性を示します。現在進行形で使われるのが特徴です。直訳せず必要な流れだったと訳すと自然です。ネイティブ解説を理解する上で重要な表現です。
I think it was baying out for it. I think it was baying out for it. They've just got such a hoodoo over us.
不動は、理由ははっきりしないけれど、なぜか勝てない相手や場所を表す言葉です。サッカーでは鬼門、相性が悪いという意味で使われます。単なる実力差ではなく、心理的な苦手意識も含みます。長年勝てていない相手に対してよく使われます。解説では感情を込めた表現として登場します。試験英語ではなく、実践英語として覚える表現です。
They've just got such a hoodoo over us. They've just got such a hoodoo over us, and they've always been our bogey team.
ボーギーは、なぜか勝てない相手や場所を表す言葉です。サッカーでは鬼門や苦手な相手という意味で使われます。実力差だけでなく、心理的な苦手意識も含みます。よくボーギーチームやボーギーグラウンドの形で登場します。長年勝てていない相手を語るときに便利な表現です。試験英語ではなく、解説や会話でよく使われます。イギリス英語のスポーツ表現として覚えておくと役立ちます。
They've always been our bogey team. They've always been our bogey team.
いかがでしたか？田中碧が入ってから明らかに攻撃的になったのは田中碧だけのおかげとは言いませんが、明らかに攻撃的な素晴らしいパスや展開を作り、攻撃を活性化しているのは明らかでしたね。守備的にもあと一歩で取りきれないような場面もこれまでは多いような気がしていましたが、この試合では本当に最後までボールを奪い切るというプレーも多く、デュエルでの強さを増したように見えました。正直に言って、他のリーズファンでは、田中碧について称賛しているファンはほとんどいないくらいですが、コーナーは、良い時もそうでない時も、手のひらくるくると言われながらも、見た通りのことを言おうとしていることは、個人的にはとても好感を持て、だからこそ、田中碧に対する称賛についても、いつも忘れずにやってくれているものだと感じています。まだ過密日程は続きますし、田中碧の出番は、まだまだあると思いますので、この素晴らしいプレーをただただ続けてほしいと思います。本日もご視聴いただきありがとうございました。またすぐにお会いしましょう。